Mitsubishi Motors sponsors boxing on Setanta Sports.
Tonight on Setanta Sports, Alex Arthur against Stephen Foster Jr. And yes, 2007 is ending with a bang. Last big fight of 2007, surely one of the best years ever for British boxing. And here at the Meadowbank Sports Centre in Edinburgh tonight, Arthur hopes to show himself as one of the men who could make 2008 even better, if that is possible, of course. Stephen Ritchie with us as we end the boxing year on Setanta Sports. Great to have had your company all year, fellas.
It's been a special year, Paul. I mean, we had some good years back in the 90s with Naz and Lennox, but I've got to tell you, when you sit down, when you analyse this year, when you look at it, not just the amateurs, the pros as well, it's been a sensational year.
What have you taken from it, best of all?
I think the Kauramaki performance was the jewel in the crown for me. That was just unbelievable. The atmosphere, the crowd. It was a fight of tactical chess. It really was, and he pulled it off. And of course, he won the Sports Personality of the Year, so great.
And also, Paul, you have to understand that nearly 90,000 people paid to watch Kawasaki's two performances underneath the eerie dome down there at the Millennium Stadium. And you and I sat there, Paul, and those were hairs on the backs of our neck. It wasn't hot. We weren't being electrocuted. That was a special night.
Almost as many actually paid to watch Ricky Hatton at the weigh-in last week in Las Vegas. It's not a down note to end the year that Ricky got beaten, Steve, because we're getting a clear message that he does want to continue into 2008.
Oh, Ricky wants to continue, and more than that, what we've seen with Ricky with his 3 fights in Vegas this year is over 40,000 people have made that journey to watch their hero fight. Came off, won twice, lost against Floyd Mayweather, got it all wrong on the night. He knows that, but no shame in that.
And other heroes too, Richie, the likes of David Hay, who could, again, going forward into next year, be something truly special now, surely.
That is one hell of a performance. To go over to France, beat a guy who hadn't been beaten for something like 10 years or whatever it was. It was a super performance from David Hay, and of course, WBA, WBC champion. Might take my ass off to him.
Can't overlook Enzo Macronelli either, can we? But this is the sort of context in which Alex Arthur, has he to some extent been pushed down out of the limelight because of the success of the other fellas?
At the start of the year, Alex Arthur's in the mix with the 4 or 5 big guys. And what happened? The 4 or 5 big guys, I don't mean necessarily in weight, but Ricky just went into overdrive. Joe just went to another planet. And then David Hay, as Richie said, goes to Mormec's backyard, 7,000 screaming Frenchmen, gets dropped, I think, in about the 4th or the 5th. Is absolutely gone, and he comes back. So suddenly, Arthur, poor old Alex, and he's a lovely kid, he's dropped down. He's dropped below that group, and he knows he needs to catch up with them again.
We will be hearing from you later, of course, Richie, but the very first thing when we showed up tonight was that you reminded me that although it's been a very good career, and he's very big news in Scotland nowadays, Arthur, in this very ring against Michael Gomez, very famously, it was an all-time classic British level fight.
Yeah.
It nearly all came apart.
Yeah, he had an absolute nightmare, didn't he, at the end of the day? He was up and down like a lift, it's got to be said. But since then...
But it's all been a lift for him since, and he says he's taken so much out of that.
Since then, you see, he's won 9 contests on the trot, so he's shown true champion status in that, you know, it's all about up here in the mind, Paul. He's recovered, he's back on the winning trail, and this should be a cracker tonight.
If I may say, a little bit like your own career, you know, getting into world class and establishing
I remember
yourself.
being beaten against Keith Holmes for the middleweight title, and everyone's doom and gloom. You think the end of the world's come, and you've got to pick yourself up, get back in that gym, get back to work, and I went on to win a world title.
No question as we start tonight, Steve. He is on the way now, Arthur. And the world rankings rather demonstrate that. Obviously, true quality at the top of the top 10 at super featherweight. The top two, Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, set to meet in March 2008, of course, for the WBC World Crown. Joan Guzman of the Dominican Republic is the rival claimant to Arthur for the WBO title, which the interim version of we have at stake tonight. And Edwin Valero actually defends the WBA title tonight. Those are the very biggest names. But Arthur's in the mix suddenly, isn't he?
Arthur is in the mix. I mean, Ring Magazine have got him at 7. But the top 4 there, they're in the top 10 pound for pound in the world. So this is the type of company that Alex Arthur has to crash into. Let's get that straight from the start. It's not just a good weight division. Some of the guys in America, obviously I was there last week, they consider this division, the super feathers, to be the best division out there. And I'm not going to argue against that.
Huge potential earnings, of course, if Arthur can crack it from here. But we should clarify, I think, the exact status of this Crown World title version WBO that he is actually claiming. Sort of. Let's get the word from Frank Warren, who's with Rob Walker, who might be able to explain the exact position starting out tonight.
Yeah, it's a fantastic night of boxing here, and it wouldn't be complete without the presence of Frank Warren. Frank, just clarify for us, if you will, what does it actually mean that Alex Arthur is the interim champion?
Juan Guzman, who is the champion, supposed to have defended his title against Alex over, I think it's nearly 9 months ago, and he's been out of action. He was out of action. So the WBO, to keep, and most organisations, to keep their titles going, they say that the number 1 and 2 fight each other. And so what happened was that Alex then fought Gogaladze, who was the number 1, who was Guzman's challenger, beat him and become the interim champion, which now means that Guzman has to defend against Alex, I think within the next less than 90 days now. If he doesn't do that, then Alex or Stevie Foster will be declared champion. The good thing about it is that if we go to purse bids, when you're an interim champion, it means that it's a 50-50 purse bid rather than 80-20 in favour of the champion.
What's your gut instinct? Do you think Guzman will take the fight?
I think Guzman will go up, so the winner of tonight's fight, I think, will be declared champion, and then they will have to, obviously they'll fight again and defend their title sometime in March.
Well, another fight we want to hear about, and you're the man that can tell us, what's the situation with Bernard Hopkins against Joe Calzaghe? I hear you're heading out to the States next week to try and get the signatures on the dotted line. Well,
I'm looking to try and get it nailed down. We're working very hard, both sides, so it's a matter of trying to get the deal done, and hopefully sometime next week, I hope that'll be the case.
If you were playing the numbers game, Frank, percentage, how confident are you that the fight's going to be cemented?
Nothing's until it's signed, it doesn't mean anything. Percentage-wise, everything looks fantastic at the moment. It's 99.9% sure that we all want to do it, but there is nothing signed yet. Until it's signed, it doesn't mean a thing.
Well, it's been a fantastic year for British boxing, absolutely superb, and it's ended rather fantastically for you as well. You've been inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. That must be an unbelievable honour for you.
Well, I suppose it is. I was a bit surprised, and I suppose in more ways than one. One, I thought you had to be in your 70s or dead as a promoter, so I was pleased about that. But yes, it's a very humbling experience, and I'm absolutely glad, especially with the fact that I've been inducted in the same year as Larry Holmes, who's one of my favourite fighters of all time.
Congratulations, Frank.
Thanks, Rob.
Yes. He once said to me, the only way he would get into the Hall of Fame was that he would be inducted posthumously.
He's a whippersnapper in the Hall of Fame terms.
A lot of our audience are too young to remember it nearly happened to him long ago, of course. Happier days now.
He hasn't forgotten.
Well done to Frank Warren. Calzaghe Hopkins, do you sense that Frank maybe was leading us to believe that it might not quite be there to be signed away just yet?
I think they're going to give Golden Boy, those are the people that will be the co-promoters with Frank, and they look after Hopkins. Hopkins is part of Golden Boy. I think Frank's going to deliver them an ultimatum, a cut-off date. I think there is enough goodwill out there, and Richie and I saw it last week when we were in Las Vegas. Hopkins wants to fight, Frank Warren wants to fight, Joe Calzaghe is gagging for the fight, and Golden Boy want to fight. Casinos in Vegas want to fight. There are dates in April. It's nearly a go, Paul. This is nearly inked to start.
What about business at hand tonight, Richie? That Warren was just explaining that essentially it was the inactivity of Joan Guzman that opened the way for Alex Arthur to be projected forward in the interim.
Yes, that's right, and not only that, his last contest against Goga, what was his name, Steve?
Kobo Gogaladze.
Gogaladze, you know, that was a genuine world title fight.
Yep.
We're hearing Guzman's too big, he will never make the weight again, so who knows, he could be made champion. And that was a genuine world title fight, Paul.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you something quickly about Guzman. He defended his WBO title finally last month in Atlantic City against Humberto Soto. Tough fight, and he weighed in obviously 9'4". He made the weight, that's no problem with that. And how much did he weigh on fight night, which is 24 hours later? He weighed 148 pounds, 10 stone 8. He'd gained 1 stone and 4 pounds. Now that's not healthy, Paul. He's got some big options at lightweight. I think it's going to happen. I think Alex Arthur, providing he wins tonight, is going to get a Christmas present. I think he's going to get a WBO belt for keeps.
On that theme also, Steve, later we will hear from Alex Arthur telling us that he may not be a super featherweight for much longer himself. But it's a cracking fight tonight. Arthur against Stephen Foster, top of the bill. A young middleweight, well, not so young in truth now, Gary Lockett. He gets us underway live after the break. A middleweight on the march he hopes to be. Lockett next.
Kauramaki, the 40-year-old Finnish boxer, stands 6'1" and certainly looks the part. Iron Man, his nickname. There's the chance of here we go up around this Meadowbank Arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the ring, Gary Lockett.
And now the 31-year-old from Cwmbran in South Wales, Gary Lockett. Current WBU middleweight champion and ranked #1 by the WBO as challenger to Kelly Pavlik, their current champion, who's going to be defending against Jerome Taylor in a rematch in February. Lockett's a man who can really punch. Formerly trained by Brian Hughes, but now followed into the ring by his current trainer, very much the man of the moment, Enzo Calzaghe.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest this evening is a contest over 8 3-minute rounds in the middleweight division. Firstly, please welcome, weighing in at 11 stone 4.5 and fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black and yellow shorts, hailing from Helsinki in Finland, presenting and introducing Kauramaki. And across the ring, his opponent this evening, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black and silver shorts, weighing in at 11 stone 7.5. He hails from Cwmbran, Wales, and has a record of 29 wins from 30 contests, with 20 wins by KO. Please welcome the reigning WBU middleweight champion of the world, the Rocket Man, Gary Lockett. Your referee in charge of the action is Mr. Paul Graham from Foldhouse, who will now give his final instructions to both boxers.
Gentlemen, we all know the rules of boxing. Good, clean contest. Obey my commands at all times. Defend yourself at all times. Good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, 8 3-minute rounds.
Well, you could see as the fighters stood face to face, Kauramaki at 6'1", around about 3 inches taller than Gary Lockett. Lockett, though, as I said, a man with real power in both fists. Ranked in the top 15 by the IBF, as well as highly ranked by the WBO, and was offered that fight against Arthur Abraham, the IBF champion. Turned it down. Instead it went to Wayne Elcock, and we all saw what happened to that last week when Elcock was stopped in Switzerland by Abraham. Lockett, whose career, I suppose he might argue, has been on a little bit of a slow burner since he had that very good decision against Ryan Rhodes last summer. But he remains, for my looking at it, the British #1. Although there are others coming through now, and at 31 he really needs to make his mark.
It's quite clear, John, Kauramaki here, he's got to keep that right hand up, because Gary Lockett, he's known for the big left hook, and he's coming from the crouch position, and he's looking to throw that shot around the guard. He's also looking for the right hand over the top, is Lockett, but it's the left hook that I like from Lockett. He gets a lot of power on it, and he's quite accurate with that punch.
A few who felt the weight of Lockett's punching, most notably in the last couple of years, I suppose, Gilbert Eastman, who was felled in a round down in Newport. Lockett part of that gym in Newbridge, masterminded by Enzo Calzaghe, Gavin Rees there as well, and of course most notably Joe Calzaghe himself, who, as we've heard, may, let's hope, be heading towards that light heavyweight showdown against Bernard Hopkins at some stage in the new year. Gary Lockett, been a professional since back in 1996.
Great jab to the body there from Lockett. Oh, there's that left hook, John.
Yeah, pretty much walked into that Kauramaki, and I don't think this is going to go an awful long way.
He's still dazed from that.
Kauramaki stopped in 3 rounds by Anthony Small last March, and by 4 by Darren McDermott in October, and Lockett is a harder puncher than either of those two guys.
Kauramaki's not moving his head at all, he's just open to the shot here. But that was a lovely left hook from Lockett.
Well, Kauramaki has gone the 10-round distance on a couple of occasions. This fight's scheduled to go 8 threes. But on the basis of what we've seen so far in this opening round, it wouldn't be a major surprise if Lockett found the bingo punch. Well, he's seen his way to the bell to end the first round, but the round going emphatically in Lockett's direction.
Yeah, good performance from Lockett in that round. Great left hook. Here it comes, bang, there it is, over the top. Lovely shot, well timed, accurate with the shot. Here it is again, crack. It was a lovely punch, it really was. And I think he was dazed for the next 20 seconds from that shot.
Okay, we're good, we're punching, we're coming out. We're not going to the second shot. Start putting the second shots in, all right? Okay, it's only for survival, right? It's up to you how long you lie, right? So hit me, come with a second shot. Twice you time you up, twice. Okay, all right?
Enzo Calzaghe suggesting that the time is right to be doubling up on the shots, not looking for the single punch. My finish, I'm afraid, is not good enough to tell you what's happening in that Kauramaki corner. So into the second round. Gary Lockett in his first fight since April. Oh, well, there you go. And Kauramaki, to me, doesn't look as though he's going to last a great deal longer up there.
Peach of a punch, right hand over the top from Lockett. Everyone's looking for the left hook, and then he just delivers a right hand. A little bit erratic now, just got to take his time, steady himself, work the jab, work in, and throw that shot over the top. There it is.
Well, it's the intangible thing about boxing, isn't it? The old punch power and knockout power. And it's something that Gary Lockett has always had right the way through his career. Really genuinely heavy-handed fighter. Oh, good shot again. The right hand again. Well, Kauramaki has a smile about it, but I'm sure the referee, Paul Graham's going to have a very close look at him. Is he going to allow it to go on? He is. No, I don't think he will now. Surely it's all over. Yes, it is. Kauramaki has been waved out by the referee, Paul Graham, and Lockett's the winner.
Super punches, John. Right hand over the top. He's known for his left hook, but the right hand that did all the damage there. 2 great shots towards the end there from Lockett. The one was an absolute peach. And he just never recovered, did he, Kauramaki?
No, right hands what did the damage. We were talking about that intangible punch power, and that's the sort of thing that does it. First one, that was. Here from another angle, that right hand again. And Kauramaki could do nothing to avoid it.
Yeah, you don't recover from a shot from that, John. You really don't. He'd have still been dazed in his mind.
Here's the second knockdown, Richie.
Oh, that was a belting punch. It really was. Well timed, accurate. Timber.
Really turns his whole body. Look at the shoulders go. Look at the way he turns his body.
Super punch.
And a power which comes right up from strong legs.
And it's great, John, because we know he's got this left up, but he's also developed this right hand now. And he wasn't recovered. The kid wasn't recovered, and it was the right decision.
Only a glancing blow there, put him down for the third time, and Kauramaki there knew the writing was up and that Lockett had won it.
1 minute, 9 seconds of round 2. Your referee, Paul Graham, has stopped the contest. He deemed that Kauramaki was in no fit state to continue. Your winner by technical count out in the blue corner, Gary Lockett.
Another win for Team Calzaghe, and victory number 30 of his professional career for Gary Lockett. And he'll be hoping, I'm sure, for something a little bit bigger than that in the new year. And at the age of 31, and after a long professional career, you'd certainly hope and think that Lockett has got a great deal more in the locker than he had need to produce tonight. Lockett making his way round towards our interview position. And Team Calzaghe keep on winning. Can't remember the last time a Calzaghe fighter lost. It's well over a couple of years now. And Gary Lockett continuing a pretty enviable tradition as Kai Kauramaki makes his way out of the ring. Let's see if we can hear now from Gary himself.
Gary, we know all about your left hook. Well, those were some sensational right hands there.
Well, I think I'm my own worst enemy. I think because I know I can take someone out with one shot, then the temptation is there just to blast away. But I think since going with Enzo, I think he's calmed me down a little bit, and he's got me using my right hand a lot more. I think I had a problem because I broke my shoulder when I was about 12 years of age, and I think I was using the left a little bit too much. But my right arm, I'm glad I got about a week off, because my right arm is in shreds because he's been working it for the last 4 weeks. But no, I'm really pleased with tonight.
30 wins now in your career, but you need bigger and better than this, don't you? That's what you've got to be looking for next year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's been quite a frustrating year, to be honest, with one thing and another. I last fought in April, which was a good win, and it was something to build up on. But I've been kept out of the ring since, with injuries and little bits and bobs. But I'm glad to be back tonight. Oh, I think in Wales, the sport was brilliant. I think everybody loves a knockout puncher. It was great, but we can look forward now to next year, as I'm WBO #1 contender, and hopefully we can make a massive matchup. I think people will sort of think of Kelly Pavlik and think that I'm perhaps not in his league, but I think with 10 weeks training, 12 weeks training behind me with Enzo, I think I got a punch power to give anybody in the world a fight.
You've touched on Enzo. Just how much inspiration have you taken from him and all the other guys that you're working with at Newbridge?
Oh, without a doubt, it's not just Enzo. I mean, it's all the boys in the gym. Everyone plugs for each other. We go running together through the hills, which I can tell you is very, very hard. And then we spar in the gym straight after. But no, I mean, Enzo is a massive inspiration. I think the award he won last week was well overdue. And Joe and Enzo both, they're massive inspirations to all of us boxers in the gym, and probably everyone in Britain as well.
Well, let's bring you in. Enzo, what's going on between you and Joe? There's a competition. I mean, how big is the mantelpiece? You seem to be winning awards left, right and centre.
He's well ahead of me, don't worry about that. That was a great, absolutely fantastic night, but we know and we all believe that Joe deserved it last year. But saying that, this year was his year. He had a fantastic year, and unified the titles, and fantastic. And I mean, as a father and as a trainer, it was absolutely unbelievable night. A dream come true.
Well, you've now produced 28 world title winners in succession. That's quite a record for you to have.
It is a record, but it's down to what you got. At the end of the day, like I said earlier on last week when you interviewed me, I said, basically, you can't be as good as your tools you got. Basically, I got a crop of absolute talented lads. You can't fail. So I think, I'm not saying, but it didn't matter if another trainer had the same position, he would have won the award. It's the boys that I got really, from Joe, Bradley, Gavin, Gary, the whole gym is absolutely blessed with talent. So thumbs up.
Well, we had a sensational night when we saw Joe against Kessler, and we've been talking to Frank earlier on, and it looks as though Hopkins against Joe might happen next April. How confident are you that Joe can take Bernard out?
Confident in the word. He's going to do it. The word is all about positiveness. And there's only one Joe Calzaghe. This guy, you'll be absolutely whooped, caned, and sent back to school. At 43 years old, he'll be retired. Guarantee you that, mate.
Just finally, Gary, it must be fantastic to be in amongst such good boxers and such high hopes for 2008 for you.
Yeah, without a doubt. As I said earlier, you know, being in a gym with Joe is such an inspiration, but just a normal guy, you know, keeps his feet on the ground. He's just like any other one of the boys. Let me get my words right. But 2008 for Gary Lockett, with a bit of luck, WBO title shot and on the bigger and better things.
We hold our breath in anticipation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.